Hello, good evening. Yeah, I'll take a look at algo. I'm just gonna sit here for a bit and wait for people to join. Thanks for those. Oops, not allowed music. Unfortunately, I need to actually get some copyright-free music. That would be better, wouldn't it? If we had copy-free music, then we could have tunes while we wait. Okay, hello. Okay, I'm going to start tonight with some other markets that are correlated with or may sometimes have an here we go. Look, I've been quiet all night, and as soon as I start talking, the dogs will start kicking off. Gunner, there's nothing there. Okay, we're going to start with gold tonight, and then stock indexes. A lot of people say that gold is very correlated with Bitcoin. I actually think that gold is a much more crowded trade than Bitcoin. When I look at this monthly chart, for me, there's a little bit of a risk that we are doing a big ABC irregular correction here, and potentially we're about to do one of those in Bitcoin. So normally, if you think about it, an impulse wave is 5 waves and a correction is 3 waves. This is a regular pattern, and this correction sometimes will be the C wave will be 61.8 of the A wave, so this is the A wave, and the C wave will be shorter, and so it'll look like a little flag like this. If it's not a flag on it and they make an equal measured move, which is very common, it will look like when it looks like a triangle, it's a pennant, and when it looks like an equal measured move, it becomes a bullish flag. But sometimes you will make a high, you'll do your B leg and then A leg like this, and your B leg will be slightly higher. It's a bit of a regular thing like this, and then you carry on. You've still done your equal measured move, but this one is higher, and sometimes you'll see it stretched out, so it's like this, and this is still your correction, believe it or not. But the market is so squeezy, so bullish, it doesn't want to kind of give back and make a new low at all. And in gold here, when we look at this big monthly chart like this, having done this huge rally here, I really think commodities do ABC patterns, 3 wave patterns a lot. And there is a possibility that in gold that this is our A leg correction, this is our B leg that overshot, and we're going to do a C leg. In which case, we have further to fall to go in gold because it's quite a crowded trade. And if we measure from this high to low, the first place we would, if that's the case, the first place we would look for gold to find support would be much lower, where this swing is 61.8 of the first swing. I'm not convinced that we're there yet. I think that this is possibly wave 1, 2, 3. If that was the case, then the most common retrace would be somewhere 38.2 of the wave 3, like this. So I'm going to go from this high to low here. And so that 38.2 level potentially is 1725. But if I look under the hood, as in if we look a little bit lower on the daily here, we've overshot the 200-day moving average. That's not too worrying because gold has, you know, the mean, apart from having the meanest market makers, it does tend to do that a bit with this 200 moving average. If we take a look here and if we look back in time, you know, it's not always clean. We'll sometimes get the wrong side of it, have a look and come back again. And we did it here in the downtrend as well. So, you know, that's fine. And it would be then a good bullish signal if we could recover this 200 moving average. If we're looking for one of those irregular corrections that we just talked about, potentially I think we've got one here like this. So this would be our A leg and this would be our C leg. And so we would then look for this swing and this swing to be equal. And if are we there yet? Potentially. Let's see. Not quite. We've got a little bit further to fall in gold before we get to that equal measured move leg. Another good sign of a correction is 50% of the most recent swing. You'd be, although 50% is not a fib number, you'd be amazed how often a market will stop at a 50% retrace. So if we take from these lows, the 2020 lows to highs, so that's these lows here in March to the lows that we made in August, we are actually pretty close to that 50% as well. So if we're going to stay bullish gold, in fact, we're on the 50% exactly, aren't we? So of this year's low to high here, and pretty good support and resistance as well. If we take a look left at 1763. So this then becomes potentially a support zone for gold. And quite bad news, I think, if it breaks and we keep going lower. But, you know, we'll see what happens at that 38.2 fib level then. But that's what I'm looking for in gold. I think copper has been silver. I like silver much better than gold. If gold can recover technically, then silver for me has a much better look and trades nicer. But the one that's been completely on fire, and I don't know if this is because of currencies again, is copper. If we can stay above 3.35 and above these, 3.29 in these new highs, we've gone beyond that equal measured move level in copper. This is a weekly chart of copper. I think we can get to 4.2 from here. So lots of lovely room to the upside. I haven't quite got my fibs on right, but it's all good. There we go. Yeah, we're beyond this 50% retrace, which is where we got stuck before. So looking for a lovely big swing higher here in copper. One of the, you know, if you look at harmonic patterns, one of the harmonic pattern rules that always helps me is if your first swing only goes to the 50% or less, then for your second swing, you're always looking for at least a 1.618 extension of the first swing correction. So if not 2.618. So let's take those away. So that means I put my fibs on from this high to this low, and I'm looking for this 1.618. So that's how I've got my target here in copper of 4.2. So in the metals, almost potentially at some support in gold, and buy pullbacks in copper. Well, I've seen that before in copper in times of stress with currencies as well. You know, with people in China, the yuan hoarding the copper. So the other big factor, I think, so we'll look at stock indexes and the dollar, because they're really the two big factors in Bitcoin. And when I look at the DXY here, we've got a weekly, at the moment, swing failure pattern, or a daily swing failure pattern anyway. That's where your market makes a new low, but you bounce back quickly and you don't close at a new low. So here on the daily, you can see what I mean. We've got underneath the 1st of September low, and a huge bullish reversal. This candlestick pattern is called a bullish piercing line pattern. That's where you make a new low and then you close more than 50% up of the open close of the preceding down candle body. So we've definitely done that. This bullish candle is as effective as a key outside day or a bullish engulfing candle. It's a really strong reversal signal, and interestingly we could be seeing the opposite in Bitcoin, because in Bitcoin today we made a new high but we couldn't close at a new high, and so we've got a bearish potential reversal signal. We haven't got this quite same bounce, but that's how we're looking in Bitcoin. So in the dollar index, if we go back to that weekly, what do I think we're looking at here? I feel like we've done an ABC up and an ABC down, and we've done a big A leg, B leg and C leg. We've still got to come. Like, we're doing that same irregular correction either way. When you bounce at an 886 fib, so if I put my fibs on all the way back from 2017, from this high to this low, the biggest high to low that we can see here on this weekly chart, we rallied all the way up to an 886. When you reverse at an 886, your first target is the 50% level in the middle, which we hit, bounced, and then the second target is this 236. So I feel like we're just retesting this level that we should have bounced from, and now I'm kind of thinking we should bounce back to the middle, to this pivot level in the middle at 96 in the US dollar. I don't know what that's going to do, but you know, if you think about it, here we are at the start of December. One of the reasons that the dollar's been sold so much is anticipation of the massive money printing for stimulus. Now that we've got a new president that won't be sworn in until February, you know, we've got at least 3 months now before they can turn the printers on. So, and potentially by then we have a vaccine. We may not need so much stimulus. So all of, you know, it may be that they print less money. I don't know. I'm thinking of reasons. Technically on the chart, for me anyway, it feels like this is a potential bullish reversal here in the dollar index for at least a bounce. And we could be definitely bouncing back to 96. It's one of those kind of magnet levels. If we look all the way back to 2015, last 5 years, it feels like this level through the middle has been one of those levels that keeps calling it back. So what about stock indexes today? Well, funny now, while we're on this page, some markets had some pretty nasty reversals. If we take a look at the Chinese Hang Seng, this is a daily chart of the Hang Seng, a really nasty bearish reversal. We took out 2 weeks of prices in this one. Potentially this whole rally from the March low has been an ABC in this Hang Seng index. Pretty nasty, if we look around, pretty nasty reversal in the ASX, the Australia 200. You know, these are all the markets that have got this trade deal and had a really nice rally going on, and they're all coming back again. A bearish engulfing reversal in the Nikkei after a nice gap higher today. So all the way back in that one. And if we take a look some more, the TSX is bouncing back off the lows, the Toronto Stock Exchange, and we don't have those same really bearish days. You know, we're kind of sideways. If I look at this big green up day, 50% back of this candle, I think we would be, we look toppy, let's put it that way, but we haven't got a clear bearish signal. If we were looking for a 3-day candlestick pattern, we would need to see really close more than 50% down of this big green thrust candle. Otherwise, I feel like the bulls are still in control, and in the S&P, similarly in the Nasdaq. Although we've got a lower high here, you know, we've got a hanging man candle. If you go to the pattern site, the hanging man candle is like the worst performing, it's the worst performing bearish candlestick there is. In fact, it works better as a bullish candlestick than it does as a bearish one. I think maybe a lot of people look at it and go, oh, bullish pin bar, or, you know, they don't. But anyway, technically this is supposed to be a a bearish reversal candle, but it doesn't work very well as one. So, and again, I really would like to see at least, you know, a first sign of a reversal would be more than 50% back of this green candle and on the way down. But, you know, we need to start taking out some lows if we're really going to reverse in previous day's lows. And so looking a little bit toppy here in US stock indexes, but not quite a reversal. Pretty nasty bearish reversal in the FTSE today. But, you know, we've got the Brexit thing, haven't we? And most of the FTSE companies are international companies. So it doesn't bode well. Toppy, again, in the DAX, but not just sideways. It's sideways consolidation in an uptrend for now. But with the warning is out there, and those Asian indexes are a pretty good warning, I would say. So in the NASDAQ, what do we do if we keep going? Well, you know, we're going to retest these highs. If you look, you know, the NASDAQ like retests closing prices. So for example, this big swing up here, the highest close price here became resistance, resistance on the close, resistance, and then the support that we pull back to, rather than these extreme highs. And so I would say I would put this highest close up here, 12,410 as my first. And in fact, you can see that closing price again was what we retested here. So that's the level to beat. And I think if we can close above that, then we've got more upside to come. But for now, it's just feeling, yeah. We've been going sideways really since September, haven't we, going into this election, and now until February, or until we hear a bit more from Biden about his plans. I think that we're really going to do a bit more of marking time, you know, in stocks. And you know, it's the ones that aren't affected by corona, they're all fine. Vaccine stocks, they're fine, but you know, a lot of people are not fine. So we're going to need to see how that plays out. So short term, I'm a little bit, I'm not terribly bullish. You know, I don't see what's going to drive us up there until they either start printing money or we get some really good news, you know. Yeah, so that's where we are. Okay, those are those. So for me then, a potential bullish move in the dollar and a toppy stocks, they are not good conditions normally for Bitcoin. I know Bitcoin has been a pretty good hedge. Bitcoin's a really good hedge against a weak dollar when they're printing money. So we're looking at the inverse here. So here we are in Bitcoin. Let's start on a weekly chart. And here we are back at the previous highs. I'm going to say it's super bullish if we close here at this highest close. Because you can see, again, see the highest close that we made before on the daily here in Bitcoin at 19,000. See how that was the high when we first got up here? They're a big level. So now we've got, we'll have the highest close ever. What I'm a little bit worried, just short term, is how it's a little bit toppy with a swing failure pattern. So swing failure pattern is where you make a new high, but you can't hold that new high. And so then you pull back to find some support. And when we look at this sell-off that we had here in Bitcoin, when I look under the hood at it, so for example here on an hourly, I really can't find a way to argue this is an ABC or more than just an A leg. So I feel like this is still an A leg. We're owed this is a B leg, and we're still owed a bigger pullback, a C leg, before we can keep going higher. And a minimum, that's going to be 61.8 of this first down leg. Well, as you know, it's crypto, as we've seen, you know, you can go beyond this level and still do that corrective pattern. In fact, you know, we could, you know, never make a new low. We could do so this is our first pullback. We could get up here and do this, and there's our correction complete. But for some people, especially who were stopped out on this drop, or who saw the drop, didn't stop out, and then when it bounced, sold, that was me. I didn't sell everything. I've got a little bit, quite a lot. I'm going to be looking for the next pullback swing to buy. And until we actually roll over and go down, I don't know when that's going to be. And if we look at this, if we're going to be really bullish, which this is, we could see 5 waves. So this is 1, 2, 3 still that we're in. If we measure this first, I'm looking at, this is an hourly chart of Bitcoin that we're looking at. Here you can see that this swing that we've just done is 2.618 of this first swing. When you have a wave through, it's very often 1.618 or 2.618. So that means if this from the low on the 27th to here is just a wave 3, we would expect just a simple 38.2 retrace. So if we're still going up, 18 sort of 500 would be where the support is. And then we'll make another leg higher, and I'm looking for 20,800 or 21,000 if that happens. Now, if we're going to do the bigger ABC correction here, then so 18,500 would be bullish, and we'd be looking for a wave 5. And if it's not, if that 18.5 doesn't hold, we're going to do the ABC thing. Like this. 17,842 would be the minimum I'd be looking for, and otherwise back to 16,600 and a retest to the lows. Okay, so let's draw that. So this level would be bullish still, and then we probably come back to this. Sorry, we would come back to here, and then up here, and then we would probably come back to this wave 4. We would look for that to be equal to that swing, or 61.8, and carry on. That would be quite a bullish scenario. The other scenario is that we come back to either 7,842 and carry on, correction over. So then we've gone A, B, C up, okay? Or, yeah, down here to 16.5, and then we've got our ABC again. So let's see. Sometimes though, remember, this is Bitcoin. Marginal new high, marginal new low. I would be shocked if we saw a marginal new low. I find Bitcoin a really bullish buy the dip market for now. And even though we've got all those other factors now that are going to be a bit of a drag on it, I don't see any sign of this slowing down yet. So still all looks really good to me. So 20,800 is the first upside resistance if we keep going. And then 24,000, I think we could see a bigger pullback from there. So if we get up there, we could do 24,000, 21, and then, 32,400 would be nice, wouldn't it? So I'm feeling really bullish. Although I think that we are at a level where we could see a little bit of a setback from this swing failure pattern. I'm definitely still in the buy the dip camp, okay? All right, so one of the, let's go and look at a few more. So it's absolutely fascinating to me how, not just on a weekly chart, but on an hourly chart, how Litecoin always moves first. I would say if you're trading Bitcoin, it's almost worth having a little corner of your screen reserved for a little Litecoin chart, because it's astonishing how often Litecoin moves out first. But when I look at Litecoin against so we'll compare apples and apples. So if we look at all of the other majors against the US dollar today, Litecoin, ETH, Bitcoin Cash, Dash, EOS, none of them have made a new high the way Bitcoin has. So they're all lagging a bit. And so if we roll over here, that they all point to that correction thing going on. So we can apply some fib rules for where we might pull back to if we roll over here. So for example, well, I don't know why I'm saying it, because there's no sign of us rolling over. It looks like we're going to keep going, doesn't it? However, if this is our first swing of correction in Litecoin, I really can't subdivide this as I'm still looking for this to be a B leg, even if we extend to new highs, and then a pullback, a decent pullback before we do the next move higher. Etim says, can I cover or talk about CHL? I'm not sure what that is. Is that a coin? I don't think I know that one. How embarrassing. Anyway, I'll try at the end if I've got time. Yeah. So yes, Litecoin's still pushing higher at the moment. These hourly fibs have been working very well in Litecoin, so we'll use them like a staircase. I'm going to put them on, and yeah, we'll just go level to level until we stop. So normally, I was taught by a guy, you know, if we're looking for a trend pullback, and he's right. If you're looking for a trend pullback, one that will make a new low, you shouldn't normally like to see it go beyond a 786, which is where we are. So if we went and retested this 786 fib level up here and double topped, then I'd be looking for a pullback to this 38.2 or whatever was 61.8 of this first swing, and then we carry on. If I was looking, if we got up to this 886 fib level at 90, I'd be looking to this 50% and then the 236 back down to that before we went up again. So 71, I think we could see. Now, if this was a wave 4, I don't know that it is, but sometimes when you'll do this, you'll do your first leg and you'll have your B leg, and then you'll do your leg, come down, so we reverse 886, and then you'll do another one, and you'll make a triangle or a wedge pattern. Whenever you see that, it tends to be a wave 4, and what you tend to do is when you break out of it, you'll do 5 waves up, and then when you come back, you'll do a bigger pullback to the bottom of this consolidation that you've done, because it's the 5th wave and the sequence will be complete. So although I say corrections are always 3 waves, they're always at least 3 waves, sometimes they're 5 waves. Okay, doesn't Lend look amazing? Lend Millie Holistic Farm, I agree with you. Lend looks amazing, quite stretched. I think it's very nice if you're in it, a bit frustrating if you're trying to get it in it because it's going in a straight line with very few pullbacks, but I agree with you. So really, until this stops, so the first sign, whenever you get a double top or a lower high, so if we retest this and get a double top or a lower high, it means you stop going up. Doesn't mean you're going down, but it does mean you stop going up. And for now, until we see something like that, we're still going up here in Litecoin, playing catch up as fast as we can. The key question is going to be, really, if you want to sell some of your Bitcoin and buy Litecoin, you really want to know that Litecoin is doing better than Bitcoin. So when you look at your Litecoin Bitcoin chart, the answer is hooray. Yes, it is. It's got a little bit of trouble coming up in this 200-day moving average, which before has been a bit of trouble. And also very strong support and resistance at this level where we're going to say hi to it. It's at 4,600. So 4,600, if we can get above that, that's where, if we can get above that, we should really rock and roll in Litecoin Bitcoin. And then we're looking for 5,430. But 4,600 and that 200-day moving average could be a bit of a problem first. Sarah Crypto said there's a CME gap from this weekend, so it's not likely Bitcoin will close this low term. Gaps. Let's look at the Bitcoin gap. Futures traders love gap trades, and they are pretty good, but the problem with the gap trade the gap trade will become support and resistance if you don't fill it, I think, within a couple of days. If you don't fill it within a couple of days, then this becomes a major support level. So what we could see, you know, is we could see in this, we'll go beyond this in the futures, and then when we come back, I can't draw anymore. When we come back, that will be where we come back to as support before we carry on. If we're going to fill this, we really kind of need to fill it by Wednesday, I kind of feel, and beyond that, yeah, it becomes really strong support, and we probably won't. I agree with you. Also, because it's so bullish and there's so much interest at this level, it's so funny because this morning, you know, you couldn't find anyone who was bullish. Everybody had a really nasty shakeout. But, you know, back in 2017 when we were having these bull runs, these shakeouts happened all the time. And were very frustrating. Okay, now we don't have the history in Bitcoin futures that we have for other charts, but we do, you know, if we are looking at extensions from this 1.618 level here, is for me would mean this is the resistance and we're at it. It's at 20,285. Yeah, 20,285 potentially. So if we got knocked back here, I would be looking for 16,800, a retest. At the moment, if we close here, it's a swing failure pattern. We've made a new high, but we haven't closed a new high. So we'll come back on a lower time frame to find support before we carry on higher. So let's see. I'm kind of open. I feel like we've done 5 waves up here, even with the gap. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so yeah, we might see a pullback tomorrow. Such big levels. To all the people who hodled, who didn't sell in 2017, rode it all the way down and all the way back up again. Well done. Like, that's nerves of steel. All right, let's go to Ethereum. Everybody takes a piss out of how I say Ethereum. We haven't got a new high in ETH. If I put regular candles on, we look pretty good. We look pretty strong. We just don't have a new high yet. If I put my big fib levels on from the highs, we can see that we are trading above this big 38.2 fib level at 592. That means potentially, if we are going to keep going higher in this one and not see much of a pullback, didn't work before, but this 592 level should be support. And if I look at it now here on the hourly, you can see when we got above it before, we tried to hold it and then we lost it. We're holding above it though pretty nicely today. Oh look, Gunnar thought he'd play you a tune. So as long as we stay above this, I think we're in a pretty nice uptrend. So, but again, I can't find a way to count this. So I feel like whether we make a new high or not, we're still going to be owed a C leg, a third leg of correction before we go higher. So, oh God. So here, this is an 886 fib level. I know, it's kind of up for you. No, you can't go outside, Mummy's busy. No. Okay, when you stop at an 886 fib level like this, it becomes that fibs are like a staircase, you climb up them. And when you pull back to them, they become support. Okay, so when we reversed at this 886 fib level here in ETH, US dollar, had we dropped underneath this 786, that would have been our reversal. We didn't, and then we would have said, okay, back to the 50%. But we didn't. We hold above it, so we keep going. And so if here tonight, if you wanted to see, are we going to top here, back underneath 593 would be a bearish reversal. Okay. Oh, well done. It's good to be back, isn't it? It is good to be back. I really do feel, you know I know I point out levels where I think we're going to see pullbacks, but I'm not bearish. I am not bearish Bitcoin. Let's take a look at ETH Bitcoin, because ETH Bitcoin is quite interesting. It tells you, do you want to diversify into, do you want to diversify? When I look at this weekly chart, I feel like we're building a lovely big inverted head and shoulders pattern. However, this rally, you know, from this high to low, what have we said before? Corrections very often stop at 50%. That's where we've stopped here at 0.03328. So, you know, what we've done here, I think we're building a smaller head and shoulders pattern actually. So what we've done here is we've rallied to a 50%, we've pulled back 50%. If I put this on here, you'll see we did 50% back, look, held it. And now from this high to low, so we're coiling up really. So we rallied, couldn't close, well, we did a little bit. So very, very tight consolidation now. Whichever way I think we break out from this tells us which way next. I would really like this to be on the upside, because I find that ETH Bitcoin chart is a very good alt season indicator. When ETH is outperforming Bitcoin, alts tend to outperform, and we have alt season. So if we don't, and if we see another swing lower here, then it just means we've had a big rally, A, B, C, that's fine. And then we'll go up again. So if we're going to do that and measure ETH Bitcoin, we'll retest 0.03, and potentially we could come all the way down to 0.02822 before we turn up again. But yeah, I do like how this is setting up. And this look. Oh god, sorry. Oh, you're having a problem with rats and you thought it was rats? No, it's my dog and his squeaky toy. Sorry. Alright, so yeah, I would put an alarm, seriously put an alarm at that level. And if we break above it, even if you're a hardcore Bitcoin maximalist, I think that buying a little bit of ETH wouldn't be a bad idea. So, okay, the most bullish chart, when I was looking this morning at which ones were holding up better, there we go, Puppy's in the garden now. When I was looking this morning at which ones were holding up better, this ADA was definitely on the radar, holding up a little bit better. You could make an argument with this one, ADA, that we're a little step ahead, that from this high we went A, B, and extended C, and we could be done with our correction. Okay, and so we're on our way. Here's a sideways consolidation, and this, let's go to the daily 1272 extension level. I think we'll see our next leg up above 1756, but on the hourly, this feels like it's really getting ready to blow. The problem is that if everything comes off, unfortunately, ADA will come off with it. And so we should, we'll see a little bit of a pullback. But if we do that, then 0.1542, I think a shallow pullback for ADA dollar, 0.1542. And then I'm looking for ADA to carry on higher again. If we look at ADA Bitcoin, you will see, even though we're not at new highs in ADA, that we are actually outperforming pretty. Let's go to the daily. Yeah. Here's our big rally, A leg, B leg. So when the C leg is over, I think we could see ADA outperform. So this is my big dog now drinking water. Don't worry, there's no monster coming to your house. It's just Tigger having a drink. Dramatically. So when all of your moving averages bunch up like this, all close together. It usually precedes a pretty big move. You can see, you know, we did it here, got above them, bunched up the moving averages, and then had a really explosive rally when we spaced them out. And so I feel like that's what we're setting up in a lot of these. And the way it tends to work, and the way we've seen again this time, Bitcoin will move first. So Bitcoin will have a big move, and then the love will spread out into the big alts, the blue chips, the large cap ones, which ADA is one, EOS is one, Ripple is one, Litecoin, Dash, and so on. Giselle, you got out at 18,800. We need to see a pullback. We need to see a bigger pullback, and we haven't seen it yet. And we might make a new high, something in the order. So if this high to this low, where did we go? 16,500, 19,800, 3,000. So you know what? I think we need to see a pullback of at least $2,000, and then I think it's a buy. I really do. And we'll be looking for support. So that's what I'm looking for. Okay. I'm being a bit slow tonight. Need to hurry up because then I can feed the dogs and quiet the beast. Okay, I've got the wrong chart here. I would like some Ripple. Now, I'm not going to say anything. Let's start with, first off, we'll compare apples and apples, and we'll look at Ripple dollar. What an amazing rally this was. I mean, amazing. Ripple's had some amazing rallies before. This is against Tether. I'm going to not do this Tether chart, actually, because it doesn't quite have enough history. Let's look at Ripple. There we go. This is the reason everybody loves Ripple, is because this is what it did before. So it did this lovely wedge, built a base, and you know, took a long time building this base, 7-8 months, and then just exploded out of it. And so this is why Ripple has such amazing fans, because of what it can do. So, and everybody's hoping for the next one. Well, you know, when you look at this move that we had, it kind of feels like maybe we're starting again. In which case, where are the resistances and where are the targets going to come? Well, we rallied so high. You know, for me, the first target is always going to be back to the 236 fib. So, and that's a little bit further up. So we're not there yet. When we get there, we've got some pretty nice support and resistance. If we look left here as well on this weekly chart, so 0.8699. If we're going to bang our head and see a really nasty setback, I think that that is the most likely place for it to happen. We made an inverted head and shoulders pattern. We've hit the top. If we look here left like this, there. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. If you say your target is twice the distance from the head to the neckline, then we have hit that target and beyond. So, you know, we're on our way in Ripple. So 0.8699. So until then, I think we see shallow pullbacks. So if this was our last correction, we've got a little bit of a deeper one going on. I think it's a bit like Bitcoin, where we need an ABC correction. So let's take a look at it on a 4-hour. So if this was our A leg and we're doing our B leg thing, if you like, only, you know, it's really frustrating to talk about where it's going to come back to, because until it actually rolls over, you can't really say where it's going to come back to. But what I would say was I would measure from this high to this low, and when we turn down, look for 0.618. So if we, for example, stopped here and came back, I would be looking for 0.735, and equal measured move would take us back to this 0.346. Now, are we likely to do that? I think we would need a really big sell-off in the other markets in order for that to happen for Ripple. But, you know, we came a long way very fast. Sometimes, you know, we could come, you know, quite a long way back here and not do any damage to this trend. But I would say if we turn lower here, 0.4735 would be where I was looking. And what adds weight to that level is not just these support and resistance, but this daily 20 moving average is here. Let me make it a bit thicker. And for me, the daily 20 moving average is my best friend. You know, I always want to be on the right side of it, and I don't want to be on the wrong side of it. So back underneath that, I would say there's a much bigger correction coming. So that's where I'd be looking for a pullback to buy Ripple Dollar. If I was looking in Ripple Bitcoin, because you do want to make sure that Ripple is outperforming Bitcoin. Here's our 20 moving average, and it's back here at 26.89. Let's clean up these fibs. And I'll chart a bit. And we'll just look at this swing here. Because this looks like an amazing uptrend and sideways bullish. So bullish consolidation, some back and fill in an uptrend, doesn't it? So if that's the case, so far already, we've bounced from this 50%. You know, if we did one more step lower and we ended up at that 20 moving average, that would be a good place to look. What we could also do is another big rally, and then this time we come back and retest the 50, we could meet that 20 moving average. But yeah, another swing lower here, I would say 26.43. But until we actually, you know, in Ripple, we may have already completed our correction like this, A, B, C, and back to this 50 moving average. And if so, then this is our first leg and this is our pullback, and we might not come back that far. I'll see if I have time at the end for CHL, okay? So I'll see if I have time, I will. So potentially, you know, we might just be done. We've done 50% up, 50% this way, look. We're doing that tightening up thing. So now we've done 50% back from the lows here. So we're looking for a breakout really from this really tight range. If we drop lower, happy days. But we could actually, this is a little bit more bullish. It's a bit like ADA. We could just rally from here. Okay. I can't really talk about CHL fundamentals. I'm a technical analyst and I look at the charts, but if I have time at the end, yes, I will look at it for you. Definitely. Okay, BCH. And yeah, I agree. What is going to outperform in 2020? Now, Bitcoin Cash. I see this in a big channel, and I felt like, you know, when we got to this 61.8 level, that we had got to a major kind of ABC reversal level in Bitcoin Cash. ABC, this is Bitcoin Cash, ABC. So if we measured it like this, there we go. Actually, it's not. It's a big funky one like this anyway. There. The thing is with the reversal at a 61.8 level, is you come back to the 38.2 and then the 50% level in the middle is your pivot. That's where we've come back to. So this is our decision place now. What next for BCH? If we're done with this correction, we will break higher and continue. If we don't, if we reverse here at 313, then this is our A leg, B leg, and we're going to look to the bottom of the channel again. Oh, okay, thank you. So A leg, a retest of the lows, ooh, potentially in 196.40. I'd like to see this go actually a little bit higher. Do it again. The thing is about being in between a 61.8 and 38.2, as they call it, the golden ratio zone. And you can go back and forward between these levels for quite some time. So resistance at 313, above 313, we can look for 357. Above 357, we're on our way up. Chase Escam says, how much are coins influenced by fundamentals versus technicals? Shall I tell you what the most important fundamental in altcoins is? Price. That's all anybody cares about. They want to make money. And so price drives the bus, as they say in Texas. If the price is going up, that's a bullish fundamental in altcoins. Most of these are pie in the sky. No, there is some really great technology, but they're not, viable projects. A lot of them are ideas. And so I'm going to carry on here. If we can get above 313, we go higher. Again, I think that this is potentially a level where we could reverse. So I'm watching this. If we look at this 15-minute, here we are sideways at this level. Okay. Next one we're going to look at. Wonder how I mute CHL. That would be a good idea, wouldn't it? Okay, let's look at Xlm. Now, Xlm US dollar, amazing rally, but this 2.618. So I put my fib projections from this high to this low, and I use that for targets, and we reached the 2.618. That's a really good resistance level, and so I would expect a 3-wave pullback here. If we look under the hood on the 4-hour, I can't count this drop. I can't see a count, really, that this is a correction complete, as in an ABC. It just looks like one drop to me, which means I'm expecting at least a B, C before we go higher. And this next swing, 61.8 of the first swing, at least. And back to that hourly 200 moving average would be nice as well. So if we measure it here, that would mean if this support that we are sitting on breaks, I'm looking for 0.1668. 0.1668. That's the first place where I think we could see a buy. And if we do a bigger drop than that, 0.1342 if everything sells off. Those are the two levels, 0.1668 and then 0.1342, the two levels that I would be looking for buying Stellar Lumens. Bye, Giselle. See you next time. Thanks for coming. Now, let's look at Lumens Bitcoin, because we've got bullish consolidation in this one as well. I love how this made a new high, but this, I can count 5 waves up in this, and so we do need 3 waves back before we're ready to go again. So this is another one where we should be looking under the hood. Here's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th wave finished, A, B, C. So I'm just waiting for this to turn up again. I would like to see, maybe back to these lows, green Heikin-Ashi, my indicators start to turn up again, then everything would be really good. Okay? Okay. Andreas, don't feel stupid. I remember when I started trading and I couldn't even open a chart. So, don't worry about it, matey. Eventually it all makes sense, but and it's a steep learning curve, but don't worry. So, no, really it is. When you hear the same things every week, eventually it sinks in. Okay. Technical analysis is that's one of those things. So, Stellar Lumens, big 5 waves up. We need a 3-wave correction back, and then it should start turning up again. We're not quite ready for this one, but Lumens against Bitcoin is still bullish. And so, yes, when this is over, what I feel like is Bitcoin is about to have a little bit of a rampage and beat everything else, and then they'll all go back to playing catch up again. And XLM is definitely, XLM and ADA and Ripple are definitely up there with the ones that want to compete. So Link. So Link has had a little bit of a setback after its huge rally. And in Link, here we are. This is Link Tether on the weekly. Remember that. So remember that thing. I've got my fib from this high to this low of the correction. And remember that thing where you get stuck in between the 61.8 and the 38.2, and it's a bit of a sticky zone where you can go back and forward. That's the zone that we're in. Here we're in it. Now 61.8 and 38.2 fibs are also very messy, so you can overshoot them, and that's what we've been doing. This magnet's too strong. But here we are in the middle. We've gone beyond the 50% pivot level, which we can mark all the way from the left here. So we're above that. I think we're about to retest the highs. If we can break out of this box, then we'll go back to looking at this these fib retraces like a staircase, and we'll look for a 786 next. So we've got resistance at 15.21 where we might stop. And then we're looking for 17.36 next if we break to the upside. We've got a really kind of nice channel going on here, I think. As long as we stay in this, here we've got 3 touches on the bottom. I'm going to clone it so it's I'm going to try and clone it so it's a parallel channel. Got too much going on, it won't let me. There we go. There's our parallel channel. We've had a little bit of a blip at the top. In fact, we'll probably, let's draw on that side. Take that one off. I do want it to be a parallel channel. It helps my OCD. There we go. There's my parallel channel that we're in. You know, as long as we stay in this, then I think we're still going up. So as long as we don't lose this bottom one, we can get rid of the top one and say, you know, happy days. A bigger correction will be underway if we lose this bottom trend line. I'm laughing at the comments, sorry. Okay, Link. The problem with this, see how when you trend, you have a big move, consolidate, big move, consolidate, and the waves don't overlap into each other. In fact, even in this downtrend, they didn't overlap into each other. And this is very choppy and overlapping, which says corrective to me. And so I feel like this could be a corrective swing, and we will see another swing lower in Link. So, you know, I'm going to be a bit cautious until I start seeing it accelerating. And if it can accelerate, then happy days. Okay. So Link, I'm not 100% convinced. Let's see how we're doing Link Bitcoin, because then you really want to know, you know, do you want to spend your Bitcoin in Link? And let's go to the weekly here, because we've come back. I've got all these dots, like, we've come back to a really good level in this 61.8, and that was the low last week. And weekly 50 moving average. So this is really good support at 65,321, and it potentially would mean that we've stopped going down. So see how we're headed lower here? I would love to see this retested and either a higher low or a double bottom or a proper base here at 65,321. So that would be, if I was looking, where I'd be watching on a retest to buy Link against Bitcoin. We've got a lot of we're going to have a lot of issues when we go up again with all these moving averages overhead us to get through. But yeah, very good support. Let's see how the retest holds in Link Bitcoin at 65,000. And Lend. Now this one has been on fire. And I kind of feel like, oh, if you're not in it, you know, you really need a bit of a pullback to get in it. Especially after today's move. Now, whenever you have a huge, big green candle like this, and you can see that I've put my fibs from this high to this low, and we're at this 1.618 level here. So it may be we have a little bit of a setback. The first place I would look is 50% back of the green candle, the open close, for a pullback. And I'll just quickly mark it, and then I'm gonna, yeah, and then let's say 50% of this, or where this swing is, the 236 of this swing, I think it's there, which would mean we have nice confluence. There we go. No, I haven't quite got it right there. Okay, all at the same place. 74.34 then. So for me, we're still in an uptrend as long as we don't close back underneath 74.34. But if we do, then again, bigger corrections underway. 50% of this most recent swing would put us back here at 68.80 in Lend. So that's if you're long, where you don't really want us back under this level. Bitcoin, yeah, is super bullish on a flag breakout, isn't it? Now, we still have to buy pullbacks though, because when we don't, it's us buying the high. It's always the same, isn't it? So if we see a very shallow pullback here, so for example here on the hourly, and we're looking, what we tend to do is make a move, sideways consolidation, and then we break out of that sideways consolidation and up we go higher. So here, up, here, up. If we can break above 80, 80 is basically our problem level. And if we can close above 80 so that 80 becomes support, so we get above it, and then we do that thing where we go sideways and break up again, that's our long entry. And our next upside target is all the way up here at 112. I think it's 112. It's where the 2.618 is, 112.49. So if we can get above 80, we're looking for 112 in Lend. Next one we are looking at is DOT. Now, we're not going to go in a straight line here from 80 to 112. And sometimes what I do is I'll move the most recent swing up. So I'll say 91 and then 102. There will be interim levels for me on the way to 112, just using this most recent AB swing. But we need to make a new high for us to apply that. If we don't, because remember, sometimes you can look at it like this, and it looks like we've got an ABC correction, but that's just the first leg in a bigger one. I don't think it is. I think this looks rich, but you know, sometimes we'll still do that, right? And then remember, when you put your fibs on, you go from A to C. So, but anyway, for now we look good. Let's see if we can close above 80 and not drop back below 74, basically. Above 80, we're really bullish. Below 74, we're looking at a bigger correction in Lend. A little bit stretched. I would love a bit more of a... So we're going to look at DOT. I think I've missed some off, haven't I? I've missed Xl and Leo off. Okay, let me go back and let's look for Zilliqa and Leo. Zilliqa. So it's pretty clear, I think, in this one. First of all, that I don't think these fibs are what the market is looking at. So we'll take them away. But it's pretty clear that this 200 moving average is what's holding us back at the moment. We're above the 20 and the 50, so we're in that kind of consolidation area. We really do need to break this 200 moving average to be making headway going up from here. This, because if we look bigger picture on the weekly, because this was a big, and I'm only looking at this most recent 5-wave swing, because this was to the 38.2, one of my fib rules says that if I put my fib on from this high to this low, if we make a new high, we should go to at least 1.618 because it was only a 38.2. So I'm going to say from here, high to low, like this. We're looking for a breakout higher from this consolidation. Don't like this color. Let's have a nice simple gray. So our first target's up here at this 1.618, which is at 430, 427. At the moment, though, we're really struggling from this high to low to get above them, aren't we? On the weekly here, we couldn't close above this 236 fib, and the 38.2 was the high, and so on. So, you know, the first thing we need to do is have a daily close above 162, and then above 190. So a daily close above 162 will take us above that 200 moving average, I think, and then so on. Ahmed Shalabi says, Bitcoin up or down? Down then up. Down a little, up a lot. How's that? That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking, Ahmed. Down a little, up a lot. So, yeah, very nice consolidation here. The trick is trying to buy the dip, isn't it? In Zilliqa Bitcoin. So all set to outperform next time we turn up. I really like Heikanashi for this, you know, when we have these corrections and you see them green again and go up again. So Zilliqa looking good against Bitcoin. That's our targets. Let's take a look at Zilliqa Dollar or Tether. On the daily we'll start with. Here we are at new highs. We've pushed through our resistance level. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to take this off. Regular candles. Just haven't got our close above that high here, have we? Damn. So this is what a swing failure pattern looks like. When you go all the way up and you can't close at a new high, you pull back to your support. Here, this was the 20 moving average. Haven. Okay, Sukmai. Look at Haven against the dollar at trading view. It hasn't gone down at all. It's quite something. Now, if we look at these high closes here, I feel like this is really bullish. You know, we're all set to break out. But we really need this close above 29.90. In fact, this looks lovely. This looks like a nice little, here, little ABC, and then ready to go up again. So if we broke these highs, I'd be like very interested in longs. Next target is 4,054. So if we break higher, 4,054. So retest 34.58 and then 4,054 next in Zilliqa US dollar Tether. That's where the 1.618 is. I wouldn't sell everything there and assume that we're going to stop. I think it'll be one of those pause levels, but we could very easily, in fact, go to up to this 2.618, especially with the size of this. So, love it. Just need to break higher. Yeah. Let's fingers crossed for Haven. Let's take a look at Leo, which is another one. Nobody ever talks about this one. Just feels like this coin just goes up all the time. I'm exaggerating, but here's the daily. But let's do the weekly or monthly. Let's do the monthly. So I'm going to take these measured moves away. So we had this resistance level that we couldn't get above for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months. 5 months of sideways, and we've had this huge breakout month. See these hanging man candles? We talked about the Nasdaq and the hanging man being a poor bearish reversal candle. This is how poor it is, because we had 1, 2, 3 monthly hanging man, and boom, we broke higher. So it's a pretty rubbish bearish candlestick as they go. Now, can't quite see where this resistance comes from. I'm not quite sure these fibs are working very well. And it may be that most people are trading this against Bitcoin, in which case, when we look at a dollar chart and we put our fibs on, that may be why. If not, this 38.2, let's put it this way, if I'm wrong, then this 50% level, which is not really the 50% from, might be a bit of trouble, 1.402. So I hate these nasty drops, you know, when they open. I'm going to go with this. Yeah, 1.402. But what if this was, let's zoom out, what if this was a lovely big 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up, or 5 waves up here, A, B, C correction, and we're starting the next leg. If that's the case, our target should be much higher. So there's our 5 waves. There's our bottom of our A, B, C. So our first target should be a little bit higher. 1.418, just beyond that 50%. Then the equal measured move is at 1.598. And then the bullish 1.618 is at 1.898. So we have got more upside in Leo dollar on this weekly chart. And 1.418 would be the first place. So the problem is when it's gone up like this, stretched every day and it grinds, it's almost, you know, if you want to buy it as close as you can to the 20 moving average on the daily, and we're really too stretched to buy it here. So if you're in it, I think great, carry on. But if you're not in it, I would really like to see more of a pullback to me. It does look like the SPOOs, and the SPOOs tend to grind the same way. They just keep going up. So it looks like the first red 4-hour Heikin-Ashi in a while here in Leo. Let's see if we can get a nice pullback to buy. Okay, I've done, let's see, lend. Done lend. Dot, YFI, and then YFII. Okay. Dot. This is a lovely chart, dot. Daily chart. Now, you know that 61.8, 38.2 thing, and I said they can be messy. It can be really messy. We really overshot the 61.8, but we still, when we closed back underneath it here, we confirmed that we'd reversed at the 61.8 before reaching that. And so when we do that, you are really looking for that 38.2, and look, that's where we came back to. And we did overshoot it as well on the downside. So that 61.8, 38.2 thing works, and the 50% pivot in the middle works too, and we're above it. So we should, in dot tether, continue higher and retest 5.589, and hopefully next leg higher. But this looks like a bit of a, just like Bitcoin, looks like, I don't know, it's potentially, this is the first swing in a bigger correction, isn't it? And so we could, from here, I know we didn't respect these 61.8 levels before, but we could see this as A, and we're doing B, and we'll get up to this here, 61.8 this time, and we'll do C, and then we'll go up again. So I think it's fine to buy it. It looks great. But if we roll over, in other words, if we stop going up at 5.589 and we pull back, that's probably, you know, the sign of that bigger correction. Because they all, you know, corrections are always, three waves, and this just looks like one wave, and so there is that potential in dot, and I think that will happen if everything else does it. If we don't, now if we close above this 5.589 level, this 61.8, when we retest it again, where are we going to go? We'll look at how dot has, if I put my fibs on from this high to this low, look at how dot has respected these levels, the 236, the 38.2, this 50%. So it's a no-brainer that if we keep going, we'll this time test the 786, 61.614, and then not many fib things you have to add it, 886. Why do we get an 886? Well, if the 786 is the square root of 61.8, then 886 is the square root of 786. And it works. It's a good fib level. So yeah, further up, more upside anyway for dot tether. You do want to make sure that it's, that you want to spend your Bitcoin on it, that it is outperforming Bitcoin. And this one has got a pretty good base down here. And potentially, yes, this fib's got no numbers on it. That's annoying. Let's try and draw this again with numbers. There we go. It's a bit worrying. Anyway, whenever you have moving, whenever you see your moving averages go flat like this, so here on the daily, you have a sideways range. And that's what we've got here in dot Bitcoin. So we're holding the lows, but we're really not going to be going up until we break this low high here at 32,161. So that would be where I'd be watching for. I think it looks good. You know, that does look like it's building a base, and remember we need 3 waves, so this is 1, 2, so we should see at least another one. So yeah, I think you probably could risk some of your Bitcoin in dot and not lose money anyway. If it's going sideways against Bitcoin and the value of Bitcoin is going up, then you're laughing, aren't you? Because your base currency is going up, so your holdings are going up. So the major resistance, I think, you know, if we just make an ABC correction though here, where we have equal measured moves, we need to watch 33,590 in dot Bitcoin. Above there, we should fly to this 50% level at 42,612. So the main trade here, it's all speculative. We're going sideways. Above 33,590, then we should see 42,612. Okay. Going to look at YFI, which is a pretty little chart here. Here we go. So moving averages, they're a really good trend indicator, and they're really good dynamic support and resistance levels on a chart. By dynamic, that just means they move. So here, you know, when you bounce, we have a really nice bounce here off the lows. Looks like 5 waves. We've got a bullish cross of our moving averages. The 20 has moved above the 50, and we've had a really nice ABC pullback to find support from these moving averages, and we're turning up again. It's probably also that, you know, most corrections, 50% or 61.8, that's what we've got here. So everything to like about this. Let's go down one time frame though, because of this 61.8 thing. Because we tend to make this pattern when you bounce from a 61.8. When you bounce from a 61.8 level, your target's the 38.2, and here, first target. Second target is the 236 up here. Okay, and this 50% level in the middle is support and resistance, and that's exactly what we did here. It was resistance, 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 now support here on this is a 4-hour chart. So everything looks good. What tends to happen though, if you do knock your head at this 38.2, is you'll come back to that support and resistance before you go up again. So if you're long in YFII, then if we get knocked back at 2070, 1860 is important support. Okay, if we get above it, then happy days. It will become support and so on, and but we will still at some point see, one of those bigger pullbacks. Okay, YFII then coming back from a lovely big correction, hopefully confirmed if we get above 2070. I'm just going to measure there. Next one we're going to look at is YFI. There we go. And we're going to go to the daily in this one. God, we're doing that same thing. 61.8, 38.2. It's so annoying. Let's tidy this up. Okay. So we got to the 61.8, pull back to the 38.2. This 50% in the middle is a really nice resistance. And so we should be headed back to 30,000. And then above 30,000, we're going to go to the 786 next. So happy days. If we get stuck here at this, we'll do this back to the 50 before we go again. But looking really good. All of our daily moving averages, we've got a bullish cross. We're on our way back up again. We could potentially make, a really nice looking bottom here in YFI Tether. So this 50% now, 25,708 is where we're looking for support. So if you are looking for a pullback to buy this, that's the level you want to buy against or lean against and see it hold above. So far so good. Here we are up here. We've gone A, B, so this is what we want to see. As long as we hold above this level and then turn up again and break the highs, that's your long. So if I break the highs, I mean, break these highs. So hold the support, break the highs, and up we go, 30,017. So there we go. I hope that was helpful. Honestly, I can't even see if there were any other requests because all I can see is bloody CHL. Alright, next week I'm going to mute that word. Alright, everyone. Be a little bit careful. When everybody's bullish, it's time to be cautious. Don't do what I do and go to bed without a stop or without moving up your stop if you meant to. And whilst I'm really bullish Bitcoin, and I just think that we could see another swing lower before higher. Yeah, that's all. Let's go back to the Bitstamp chart. But of all of the things we looked at, gold, stock indexes, whatever, this one looks better than all of them, Bitcoin. But yeah, a little swing failure pattern here where we can't make a new high and close at a new high might give us a little bit of a pullback. If it doesn't, if we keep going, we're looking for 20,800 on the upside next before we'll have a pullback. Okay, bye everyone.